Hey there, welcome to Secret Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So this is the first time I cover Secret. I've covered many other altcoins and I just spotted this one that seemingly is heading towards a major breakout. So I'll borrow the Wyckoff tags and the key levels. As you already know, if you're not new to this, whenever I cover a new coin, I'll start drawing those from scratch. So please be patient, and if you want to see how I do all those interesting rainbow lines and Wyckoff tags, this is where we're going to start. So let me borrow some tags, maybe from a closer one where we've got the like 0 point something, that kind of price pattern. So I think peak or Doge is a good one, so it's like 0 point something. That's perfect. And what we're going to do is to copy these key levels, these rainbow colors key levels, from purple all the way to red. And let's copy this first and move them across. I don't want to lose this. As you know, if I select something wrong, TradingView isn't very forgiving. There's no undo that I can go back to select the other stuff. So let's go back to Doge and copy our Wyckoff tags. Long-term playground zone we can do later, we don't have to do now. So we've got the preliminary support, the selling climax, automatic rally, second test, sign of strength, last point of support, and preliminary supply, buying climax, second test, automatic reaction, sign of weakness, last point of supply. Test is fine, we can type it over there when we get to secret if there's test. So now let's move the key levels before I paste those Wyckoff tags, because I don't want it to be too busy, so that in a way you can follow it easier. So let's select all these key levels and unlock them so we can move them to where they should be. Secret, pretty new. Like many altcoins or projects, it exhibited some similar behavior, like very flat right after the launch. But that's okay, there's still movement, so let's cover it. Let's talk about it. The red line definitely goes to here. So if you are have been with me for a while, you know I always aim for at least 4 reference candles to set a key level. So that's where it's going to sit. It looks to me it's 0.17, so let's change it here to make it more exact. So coordinates, not 0.17, 0.17 is current price is 0.157, so let's say it's 0.156. Yeah, let's do it that way. Just take a look at where the line goes and see whether it deviates too much from what you or where you want it to be. 0.16, that's fine. Lock it. So if you ask which candles I was referring to, let's make it bigger. That's 1 wick, 2 wicks, 3 wicks, 2 candles. That's already 6, right? 7, 8, these 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah, a lot over there, much more than 4, multiple times more than 4, so that's why I put the red key level over there. Now we get to the orange, and I would say it's probably somewhere around here. You know, these 3 candles, these 4 over there, and then another 2 to 3, 2 over there, and a bunch over here. And we want the line to touch these, so well, this one is easier. I can just move it across. Those ones, we may have to adjust their values, because once I move them to the right hand side, they're not long enough, and by typing in, it's better to drag the point, because if you drag the point, the line may not be horizontal anymore. So that's 0.24. Let's adjust it. So it's fine that if it deviates a little, because a key level is not just one price point. So when we say it's 0.24, it's not like the price gets to 0.24 and it's going to be rejected or rebound and find support. It's a range. So you see these candles, sometimes they do go outside a little, and that's fine. It's a reference point, and we know it's always a range around that reference point when the price actions moves and take a U-turn. Now it's the yellow key level. Again, seek for 4 or more reference candles, and if I look at this here plus the dashed line of my cursor, this looks like where it should go. It's 0.3326. By coincidence, we already have 0.33, so might as well just adjust this a little. And then, like I said, we want the line to go further to the left, so let's decrease this value. I think 60 should be more than enough. Yeah, there we go. So we've got 2 candles over here, 1 wick over here, that's 3, 4, 5, 2 candles over here, 6, 7, 8, 3 more candles, and a bunch more. Again, a lot more than 4, so that's good enough. Now we get to the green. Here, it's mostly these bunch of candles that immediately caught my attention. So those give me more than 4 points. And here we've got the transition between the 2 candles as well, so that's adding another 2. Excuse me. Okay, again, 0.42, let's adjust this. 0.42. And these 2 as well, so the line stays on exactly where we want it to be. We took 60 for the last one, so the same would work for this one. Time to lock it, just to make sure, double check. And now the light blue key level. We're getting into an area that's kind of tricky because it is getting very close to the peaks of the previous 2 distribution cycle, as well as this area where it drops from the very top. Again, the 4 candlestick principle will likely land my line somewhere around here. So we've got 3 candles and wicks over there, and another 1, 2 right there, 3 here, and 4th over there. So this, I would say, is a good location. I'll say it's 0.55, looking at the price over there. And this time, if 60 may not be enough, let's do 55. Yeah, it's going to extend all the way to the red candles. Okay, that's done. 2 more. Here, a lot of candlesticks, and this looks pretty good. Cutting to the left, there are still reference candles. Yeah, let's move it across. And that's 0.65. Not too bad. Just remove the trailing numbers and we will stay right at 0.65. This time we wanted to go even further than this, so it looks to me it's probably somewhere around 30 maybe. Yeah, that's great. Okay, finally, purple key level. It's going to stay somewhere around here. So these 2 long, not very long, but wicks for the climaxes, as well as these bunch of candles, I will consider this a good reference level. Just adjust this a little, 0.77 maybe. So that's where it should go. And again, 30 over there. 0.77, that's what we're working on. Okay, ta-da! We've done the key levels, and now let's put it in the Wyckoff tags, right? Okay, there we go. We've got all these Wyckoff tags. Let's move it across so we can see all of them. Obviously, this was a buying climax, and the automatic reaction went really deep, and then we immediately, without a second test, well, you can say this week, like this week is a second test, but like if I look at the candle bodies, it doesn't look like that to me. It's more like an immediate last point of supply, and it quickly dipped to the selling climax without even a sign of weakness. I'll save these two for, well, sign of weakness can go here, but there's basically no second test because for this one, it's probably an upthrust. Well, you can call it a second test, but it's higher than the climax here. So in Wyckoff definition, they call that an upthrust. But it's fine. You just treat it as a test because essentially, no matter what name they're given, it's just tests of demand. So now the accumulations tags. So we've got a selling climax right there, and preliminary support goes here, automatic rally, and then now we've got a second test. It's a bit lower than the selling climax, but it's fine. Sign of strength, this is tricky. This is a low one. Marginally, we can give it a sign of strength. Last point of support, maybe this range of flat bottom candlestick trading pattern, maybe that's the backup or last point of support, and that's why it may well be the build-up period before the price started to climb. Okay, let's add a few more for the previous cycles. We have the sign of second selling climax over there, and then automatic rally, and let's call that, well, there's a second test obviously, and a spring right there. P missing, okay, that's good, and a sign of strength right there. Preliminary support period, and LPSY goes there, a higher LPSY right there. Well, the buying climax, automatic rally, not rally, reaction for this one, that's the distribution cycle, so it's not rally. Rally is for the accumulation cycle. PSY, right there. Okay, that's pretty much it. These ones we don't need to really touch on them anymore. We just need to look at the closest to distribution cycles. So now we have all the tags and key levels in the weekly time frame. Let's quickly look at the big picture. If I turn on this Bollinger Band corner squeeze hiding the drawings, we see this squeeze is indeed happening. Whenever the squeeze happened, much like what happened here back in November 2024, yeah, so that's when the buying, it shots up to the buying climax. Right here as well, even though technically speaking, you don't see these vertical shades at the back, but it's still, the purple lines are close enough to the orange that it forms a squeeze and pushes the price to, well, these two times were the upside, but you can also see a squeeze can push prices towards the other direction as well. So use this indicator as a tip to us that a swing, a bigger price swing is coming, not that it's definitely heading towards one side or another. So we're going to use candlestick pattern analysis as well as Wyckoff to help us decide which side is of a higher possibility. And in this scenario, given it's already in the mid-late stage of an accumulation cycle, so hopefully this side towards a new distribution cycle is where the higher possibility goes to. Not saying that it's 100% because a lot of times after sign of strength, like this one, very good example here, it went to test this level, the red key level of 0.16 before it shot up. So this time interesting is we're already at that level, so unless it dipped deeper than the red level, again, it's not impossible, but less likely. If it ends up with a spring that at an lower level, that is probably the final shakeout to scare away the small fishes before the big guys pushes up the price to drive people to FOMO in. So that's the big picture and the squeeze and all that. Let's draw two more lines so we know what dates we're looking at. So let's start with this one. I'm just going to be testing this for the time being. One line, two lines. Because as of this moment, the bottom edge doesn't seem to be even flat. It's heading towards a lower level, but that's fine. In candlestick pattern analysis, that's something called a descending wedge. If I take this wick, this long wick here, and touching these wicks over here, just to extend the line, we're getting very close to the tip of this wedge. So the intersection point of these two lines is December 1st, but before that is actually this triangle over here that forms between these two lines, the dashed line and the red key level. And this intersection is actually October 13th. So in probably less than 3 weeks time, there's 1 to the 3rd, 3 weekly candles, and a lot of times the breakout happens before it even gets to the tip. The breakout will happen. So either it continues down, breaking the red key level and continues to the further tip of the wedge, pointing towards beginning of December or end of November, because the candle is obviously outside of the wedge by December, so it should be November the latest. So that's one scenario, breaking below the red key level. The second scenario is for it to break outside of this triangle, meaning go outside of this yellow resistance line and start to challenge the 0.24 orange key level. That's where I would say a potential backup or last point of support period, a horizontal platform period would appear, and then that's where it builds up to the distribution cycle. So again, just to recap the timing, there's one longer timing if the price continues to trade within the wedge, that's end of November. If not, if it's staying within this triangle since like when it started in mid-July, the date we're looking for is somewhere around the first week of October. So we're just 2 weeks away, 1 to 2 weeks away from that point, and that's when the breakout will happen. So that's the information we get from the big picture. And then daily, not intending to switch on the Bollinger Band, but since we do, again, same thing, the squeeze is happening. You see these vertical shades or vertical bars behind the candles, right? So the squeeze is going on and we're just waiting for a breakout event to happen. If I were to adjust the lines so they even cover the candlesticks here in the daily chart, so I just want them to cover the tip of the wicks so it's more accurate. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want it to be. So it's going to extend this by a few days, but still December, beginning of December is the latest, but I don't expect for the price or for the candles to squeeze that dip to the very tip. So the dates that I mentioned when I was looking at the we were looking at the weekly chart hasn't changed. Mid-October and beginning or like end of November, not beginning of December. That's the latest point that it would happen. Okay, here, I'm thinking whether to bring in the Wyckoff tax. It's going to be really crazy, but anyway, since we have done it for others, why not? Okay, preliminary supply, buying climax, automatic reaction, last point of supply, sign of weakness, and then preliminary support, selling climax, automatic rally, second test, sign of strength. And do we want spring? Maybe not. We can type it over there. I don't want to cut them, but if it's cut, then I should be able to paste. Yep, that's working. So let's move it across here because it should mostly align to a previous right period. Buying climax. That's a very deep automatic reaction. And last point of supply. It's a very short term sign of weakness right there. So that's like a similar level of as the automatic reaction. And then we've got this little platform period before another LPSY and another LPSY and preliminary support and eventually the selling climax. Obviously automatic rally, second test, some more tests. That's the sign of strength, 2 over there, but that's fine. It's just the same very similar period within those few days. And yeah, it's like doing its thing. Maybe that's the backup and last point of support period that we are having. Maybe. Looks it is, this flat bottom. So, again, daily tax in Wyckoff tax in this time frame is going to make it look very busy, and it's not easy to look at a daily chart and just plug in these tags. It's interesting exploration. Okay, that's the daily time frame for Secret. Just to recap from the weekly, remember the 2 key dates here, second week of October, and here, beginning of December or like end of November. Those 2 are the key dates where a breakout event would likely happen. Before that, we get to those dates. That we have already seen from both weekly and daily charts. Thanks for joining me for this new altcoin